Okay, we're back into open session. And during the closed session, council received for information, a presentation on the role of council during your negotiations. So, need a mover and a seconder that Mayor Lobel's report out of closed session be received for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion's carried. So we're going on to item 7, which is approval of the minutes. And today we have in front of us the minutes of the regular council meeting for January 14th, the special council meeting minutes of January 27th, and the municipal planning regular council meetings for January 28th, 2025. And is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Allen enact as follows: that the minutes of the council meeting held on the following dates be adopted: January 14th, January 27th, and January 28th. Can I get moved to the seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, second by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any discussion?
Right, this is not paying attention where.
We're confirming that the minutes were typed up correctly, et cetera, in the, for those 3 different ones. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Mayor Lobel, through you, I have, it's just a procedural question, and I apologize for not asking you, beforehand, Madam Clerk. It has to do with, page 23 of our agenda, and it has to do with the recorded vote and, with, never mind. I've just answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Right.
Seeing none?
About the minutes, you mean?
Yes. Any further comments? All in favor? The motion is carried. Moving on to some other ones, and this is recommended. The agenda from, okay, the agenda items from 8.2 to 8.4 on February 11th, 2025, the regular council meeting agenda be received for information. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, 9.2 to 9. The reason is because we were moved up the. And those, so the committees are the Alnwick Haldeman Library Board Committee and the Lower Trent Conservation Authority Committee. So I'll read the agenda, or pardon me, I'll read the resolution again. The agenda items 9.2 to 9.4 on the February 11th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be received for information. Can I get a mover to second? Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded. Councillor Booth. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Lobel, it has to do with the library board minutes. My question is strictly for transparency reasons. And I would like to say that this council has not seen minutes from their meeting of March 4th, March 7th, February 8th, or February 1st. So I would request that they should be coming before council at some point.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm asking for a motion then.
May I ask, procedurally, is this a motion that we need to ask for minutes, or should they be coming forward? Could I ask?
Ms. Clerk, do you know if those were presented?
They haven't come through.
No, so through you, Mr. Mayor, I can't speak to it directly, but we can follow up with the library to see where they're at with their, in their minute process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you, go ahead, Councilor Ainsworth.
To you, Mayor, maybe a question to Councillor Booth. In one of the minutes they had, there was a conversation about a new library built.
Is this in these minutes here?
Yeah,
November 18th, where was it?
sorry, I didn't write the actual date down on them, but there was conversation in one of the minutes.
So I'm looking at the one we had before us on the 18th. I don't see it on this one. I know the library, if I remember last year, they made a presentation to council that if there was anything going on with the arena or that they wanted to be included or whatever. When the Legion made their proposal too, that the library sent them a letter, that's all I can recall. We had a meeting last night, there was nothing mentioned about that.
Okay, is it okay with that?
Yep,
Councilor
thank
Ainsworth?
you. Thanks.
Anything regarding the Lower Trent?
Oh, I have a question on the library one.
Okay,
So I'm looking at item 5, new business, and that they sent a request last spring to be included in the tax bill. And that was denied. I'm just wondering if that was, and they're bringing it back. And my sense is, I'm not sure if it does increase the bill, if we're already mailing something out, but if it does increase it by increasing the weight of the thing, I think it would be appropriate to send that back, the cost back to them rather than denying them the opportunity to be included.
I found that word pretty strong too. To be denied, I'm not sure if council or part of your staff actually denied them to do it. Are you familiar with what we're talking about? There was a request that they were going to put in some information in when they put out the tax bills. And they were told no because, well, the way it read, they were told no because it was gonna cost too much to put it in the paper or in the envelope.
It's on page 4 of their minutes.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, that is something I'll have to take a look at. We are limited as to how much information we can put within the tax bills. Our current feeder system only allows for 2 pieces of paper to go through. So to add 3, we are into manually stuffing envelopes for 3,500 tax bills that go out. So if they were looking to, again, I'm not familiar with the
Will you
request,
check it out?
but I'll look into it.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
And if the option of a third sheet is not viable, offering suggestions of others, because I think it would be appropriate to include them in the mailing in some way, even if it's just to provide a link or direction to what information they would like to get out to our residents.
Councilor, pardon me, Deputy Mayor Stewart.
Through you, Mayor Lovell, if I may, the way I'm reading this is it was denied on May 2024, and they would be bringing it forward to the spring of 2025. So I'm just reading it here. It was submitted in 2024.
Yeah,
So now we're just hearing about it now. So they need to maybe make another request. And that seems to be what they're talking about here.
hopefully they have a visible date.
They have for this one.
Okay,
Through you, Mayor.
okay, the clerk is going to investigate and find out. Yes,
But I think it would be prudent for us as council to say we support including some library information in the next tax bill. So would we need that to be a motion then? To make it clear that if it is the will of council to include it, but do we need a motion to do that? Or, you know, I am uncomfortable with them feeling like the township wasn't willing to include them, which
It was, to be fair, it was a year ago. It looks to me like they are coming forward. And they are a separate entity, so this is something that they need to bring forward. And the other question is, the other comment I would have is on page, I've got the agenda package up, but on these particular minutes, a library expansion / new build report is 4.4 of that document. So it does appear here, and it appears that there was nothing to report at that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Booth.
I'm just remembering now, and I think, it would help out Emily. I believe, and I could be wrong, Emily, is that the library wanted to put a survey in there and it was multiple pages.
Mhm.
So it was discussed at the library board to say, you can't put something that's 10 pages in the mail out, and something recalls that it would have cost thousands, so the library board decided that, it's not worth it. I don't think it was a 1 page or a 2 page thing, so, and last night's meeting, they didn't discuss it at all, so I don't think it's that big of an issue, but.
Yeah, I think the word should be correct, because that's saying the township denied them. And there might be very good reasons for denying them, and it wasn't denied.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but something tells me, it says the survey, and the survey was definitely more than 1 or 2 pages.
Okay, so we're giving Erin, pardon me, Emily, a little bit of information, so she has something to work with when she talks. Okay,
So Mayor Lobo, would it be your suggestion then that they reword that sentence to take out denied?
go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it's not our role or our jurisdiction to tell another third-party entity how to take minutes. So I hear the concern. And that's something in my next conversations that we can have when we meet next with library CAO, just in terms of language, things like that. We can have that through many of our conversations, just as we work together as colleagues and as minute takers, joint minute takers, united in that front. But it would be outside of our jurisdiction to actually tell another entity how to take their minutes.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for 9-4?
I
Just
did,
on the-
I just had a few.
Okay,
Secondary deployment, sorry, Mayor Lobo, through you, secondary deployment. Could, and I'm just kind of trying to find out where it was. Do you know what that means? I can show you afterwards. And as well, there was a note where they are doing some traffic on Alderville First Nations roads. Would that be a contract that Alderville has with the OPP, or would the municipalities be absorbing that cost?
is this for traffic?
I believe it was on their traffic report. Mhm.
So they're on there for so many hours?
Yeah,
Yeah. My understanding of that is that any bills coming through there would be paid through Canada.
oh, so federal,
Yes,
okay, thank you.
or something like that, yes. I found it, and I've seen more, but I thought it was interesting, the number of hours we actually do spend in Allen Calderwood. We're getting pretty good coverage, I would say.
When I found our code,
We're down there, cool.
well, our code, we are 1FO1 Northumberland.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Councilman Neely.
just a comment that I'm pleased to see this level of information before us.
And it's public information. And without putting any names on stuff. Well, I think that's all been handled properly.
Mayor Lobo
Yes.
as well. Just one more. I looked at the OPP board budget of $70,534.12. Is that basically for remuneration?
I wish it was.
Well, I've noticed that there's a lot of people at the table, and I just wondered what all that covers.
Okay. Eric, do you have that information? I could give you my thoughts on it, but
But that's kind of, that would be all right.
yes,
No, I do not have that.
I can give you roughly, there's a representative from each municipality. There's two appointed by the province. So that's, 8 people on the board, I believe. They, receive the same amount of, what's the right word? Anytime they go to a meeting, they receive remuneration, they receive exactly the same amount that they're paid at their local municipality. There is one trip per year that included in that. There's insurance. Work done by the county through a billing and that type of stuff. As well as IT from the county, and there's one secretary that works part-time for the county,
Thank you.
OPP. So can I get a mover to, we already have a mover to second for this. All in favor of those comments? That motion is carried. Next, we have Northumberland Broadband Network installation. And I believe that was put on by Stefan, a new public works person. I found the information a lot similar to what was presented this morning. And I get the impression, reading from him, he's up to date and knows where he has to go. Is that pretty well correct, CAO?
Yeah, this information, this was asked to be put on the agenda by Northumberland County. And so our manager of public works did so. And then the presentation you received this morning was with respect to it.
Thank you. And I guess we'll be getting some updates from Stefan as it goes along. Because there's some pretty big dates there that they want to see some results, and that's good. And have we thought how we're going to get down to the public using our own information, or are we ready to go there yet?
To you, Mayor Lowell, to the rest of the council as well. So the when this project first came up at towards the end of 2024, staff were asked not to send out information to the residents with respect to this project, that the county would be responsible for that. So therefore, we have not done that. And we will continue to allow the county to spread the good word about their project. Secondly, with respect to the project and the policies that are in place, and also with respect to awarding permits for the installation of this, that due processes will be followed, will have to be followed. And as we have information and or require council's input, we will be back to council.
And do you expect there to be any financial payments that have to be made on behalf of the township for this?
Through you, Mayor, I will comment that is unknown at this time, but certainly if we do identify costs to the township, we will bring that forward.
Thank you. I'm going to read anybody else have any questions or comments? I better read the resolution first. Does the council receive report PW 2025-03 Northumberland Broadband Network Installation Review for information? Did I get a mover to second? Moved by Councilor Booth, second by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor.
We, through your Mayor Local, we have got a start point. I'm just wondering, did they release the name of the contractor that's going to be providing the installation?
They did. It was Northumberland, no, it's New Build.
New build.
Any other further questions? Oh, go ahead.
That was the two gentlemen who were sitting here.
I just wanted the name. Thank you, Mayor Local.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Motion's carried. I'll make one final comment. This is gonna be great for the citizens, and I know there has been in the past, people that were afraid to, not afraid, that's the wrong word, wanted to move into Northumberland County and even in Alva-Colvin and weren't able to do so because they didn't feel they had enough service to work with their business from home. Okay, we're gonna move on to communications. It is recommended that the council of the corporation of the township of Alva-Colvin and Anactus Falls, that agenda 16.1, I think that should be to 16.4, 16.2 to 16.4 on the February 11th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be received for information.
I believe, sorry. Have we skipped over item 14.1?
Yes, we did. Thank you. The council received report FIN 2025-001 status update on union negotiations. Expenditures for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Silver, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any questions? Yes, I'm sorry, Councilor O'Neill.
Actually, I am quite
Excuse
concerned.
me, can you go through the mayor, please?
Sorry, I thought when you. Okay, to you, Mayor. I'm concerned by what I'm seeing in front of me because I'm seeing expenditures made outside of our procurement policy, and that's quite concerning to me.
Okay. I'm not sure. I don't know if we're outside the policy yet. I know if we spend all of that money, we certainly would be. But are we out of the policy?
Yeah, I know. Where is it? Sorry, I would love to have my own copy and not have to steal yours, but anyway.
Well, perhaps,
My concern is item 12.5, no contract or purchase shall be divided to avoid the requirements of this policy.
I don't think that's our intent, is it? I know what could happen there for something like that, where you put in 4 different bills on one. Or I shouldn't say that. It could happen that you would put in 4 bills on one rather than issue a one check. Do you have a chance to look at this? What number were you referring to?
12.5. So I see on one file or one item that we've spent over $20,000 and that had not come before us as council.
With, through you, Mayor, which item are you referring to?
12.5.
No, I'm sorry. I understand 12.5 is identified under administration and for residents. I am reading from bylaw number 47-2019 procurement bylaw. So under administration, it says no contract or purchase shall be divided to avoid the requirements of this policy. So I understand that, but how are you referring to it applies in this case?
When money needed to be spent on this file, and it is going to need to be significant money spent on this file, the first step should have been to come to council and request the spending of that money as per our procurement policy.
So I'm through you, Mayor Vogel. So I'm trying to understand, if I may, I'm trying to understand where you're referring to this. So the report that's been brought forward, FIN -2025-001 that's included in this agenda for today's meeting identifies 2 individual companies, one being for $10,024.86 and the other being for $10,684.80.
That's what I'm seeing as well, but I'm seeing a spending of over $20,000 broken into pieces rather than coming before council.
Through you, Mayor Lobo, so with respect to this bylaw, it identifies, the individual contracts, those are two individual contracts. Even though it's done for the same, process or the same, we'll call it job. This does fall in line with many other aspects of getting operations completed within the township, through all departments. So if we engage with one of these companies specifically for more than, and I'll quote, under 6.0 purchase by negotiation, 6.3, anything that's over 25,000, then we would bring that to council. So in this case, with respect to timelines, having to respond to union demands under the Labor Relations Act, we had to identify, number one, that individual, we'll call it initiations with these companies, if they fell within the procurement bylaw, and therefore, because they were under jurisdictional requirements, therefore we proceeded with operations as per the purview of our jobs.
Thank you. Aaron, you have a comment?
That's good.
I was just gonna say about the same thing as Dave, due to the timelines and the sensitive nature, the first one. Through our legal team, we had to reach out quickly to meet the deadlines of the Ministry of Labor. So we did not have time, so that it is not a divided item in this case. That was a separate issue, as that was the certification portion. The second portion is for the actual negotiations, and I will be bringing a report to council for the rest of that. But again, due to time sensitive natures, we've had to move quickly on some of these items.
Thank you. I'm satisfied with that response. Councilor Booth.
Through your worship. I guess the concern I have, and I have the 17 pages of procurement bylaw here, and we're seeing two bills here. I'll read this. It says under 15.3 of the procurement bylaw, it says prior to the adoption of annual estimates, specific council authorization is required for expenditures for special projects, capital purchases over $5,000, consultants fees, land purchases, and or new services, with the exception of expenses for outgoing projects and capital purchases from the previous year. So nowhere in there, I think we have an issue of, in the procurement bylaw, anytime you spend more than $5,000, that says that $5,000, it says, free written quotes whenever possible. So that's my concern, is these companies were picked. Nothing came to council to say that there was any free written quotes or there was an RFP put out or something like that. So I could see maybe if you're telling us, Mr. CAO, the Hicks and Morley one was something that had to be done because the union was whatever. But I think the lady that we had now that's going to be doing our negotiations, that should have probably come to council. And we should have looked at it, either an RFP or something like that.
My understanding, and I could be all wrong, is that, but I think we have a contract with the county for industrial relations. And I could be wrong, but I believe that we went to the county and got their recommendation. And their recommendation was to hire this person. And yes, we can get a quote for three of them, but that's who they're recommended, and we don't have much time. You have a comment, CEO?
I do, Mayor Lobo. At this point, I would recommend that if council would like to challenge staff's decisions and ability to operate the township, that we move to close. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, Mayor Lobo, to our CAO. I'm certainly not in that position to challenge your direction. I respect your professionalism. I know that you followed the procurement policy, and that I understand that this was time sensitive. And I I think we need to move on. Thank you.
And I'll make one more comment. I'm sure that Councilor Booth, you wrote it out perfectly, et cetera, but there's probably something in there that says in cases of an emergency, CAO or whoever can make a decision to bypass that. Councilor Booth.
Through your worship, that's why I'm saying the Hicks and Morley one, I could see that last year when the union notified us and things were going on, that we had to have a company come right away. But I guess the Doucette Consulting and Investigation, which did a presentation to us, that company is looking at now a long-term negotiating contract with us, which is going to be well more than the $10,684. That, I believe, we have time. They're saying that they're not going to start until April, that there should have been 3 quotes come to us, or at least an explanation from staff to say why they're going with that company. Because what you're telling us now, Mr. Mayor, that's the first time I've heard that that's the county that's recommended them or whatever. But still, the procurement policy states, and it includes the CAO too, he's included in here. He has no more authority that after $5,000, there has to be 3 quotes if possible. That's in the procurement policy. So it doesn't matter whether you're a manager or CAO. So Deputy Mayor, you're wrong when you say that the CAO followed the procurement policy, because I have it right here and I can show you.
Mayor Logal, I would just like to finish if possible. So I'm not going to continue on. I find it disrespectful.
I don't know what, I don't think it's gonna do us any good to go into closed. We're always learning, and if we can make changes, then that's fine, but I don't think we can be holding staff accountable for things that they're trying to do the best. And I don't think, and I still think they're doing that. CAO?
To you, Mayor Lowell, it was explained to this council at the last council meeting that the direction was that we will move to the county for HR support services. The county pointed us in the direction of Ms. Joan Doucette, and therefore Aaron engaged in those services as per the direction they received.
Thank you. I can't remember that report, but I'm sure that you know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm satisfied with that. So let's move on. Thank you. So, the council received report FIN 2025-001 status update on union negotiations, expenditures for information. And all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Next, we'll go on to item 16. 16, 2. The township of, the agenda from 16.2 to 16.4 on the February 11, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be received for information. And that's to do with the township of Brudenell, Lipnitz, and Raglan. Support resolution to redistribution of the province land transfer tax and GST to municipalities for sustainable infrastructure funding. The township of Rundwell, Lipnitz, and Raglan support resolution child welfare funding 07 township support resolution for the city of Renfrew regarding child welfare funding, and Northumberland County resolution municipal restructuring study. Northumberland County Resolution Municipal Restructuring Study. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, second by Councilor O'Neill. Any discussion on any of those 3? Councilor Ainsworth.
To you, Amir. So maybe if we could discuss number 8, the municipal restructuring study.
Okay. Is that 16.4?
16.4, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
If you have any background on that and maybe what the county is is expecting to get out of it, and our obligations maybe in the study, if any.
I've read the report. You've read the report. I don't believe I can give you any exact figures. If that's what you're asking for. This came as at the council, county council, as a possibility that they would consider doing some studies or amalgamation even. And the reason for that is to the taxpayer only see if we can save any money for the taxpayer. So that's basically what it is. I don't know if it's a good idea. I know that they're suggesting that if the CAO, when they have their meetings, that they do a bit more planning. It's pretty wide open. I think it's $150,000 to $250,000 study, and I don't know if we split it between the 7 municipalities. That's $40,000 or $50,000 each, roughly. But I hope they, if they decide to do that, I would hope they split it based on the in fact, I've been asked to that. All right, but anyways, it's a closed meeting, pardon me, it's a recorded vote that sends it around to, so you pay so much of your percentage based on your population. You put me on the hot spot though, because I don't know, it's a really good discussion.
Do we have the obligation to participate, or can we make a motion not to?
That's what they're asking for. I believe if I read that correctly, everybody had to be involved to push it forward. Councillor O'Neill.
Sorry, my understanding was that the county would be conducting it and looking for us to cooperate in it. So I'm not anticipating this is a cost to us. And rather an opportunity for us to cooperate and learn more about where it might make sense to work together on things. That's the recommendation of the county, but they want to look at other options as well, whether that's amalgamation of some form or shared services. And we certainly have many examples of shared services in the past. I think of the septic piece as one of them. Where are those things that might make sense to work together on? Would it be, and bridges and culverts are a hot issue for us, a difficult issue for us. Maybe that's somewhere, and that's the kinds of conversations they're hoping to generate. I did watch the county meeting where this did come forward in that conversation, so it might be worthwhile to look back at it. I certainly learned quite a bit listening to the presentation and what's driving it.
There's you brought up some examples, but waste is one that's there all the time. And there are duplicates. Maybe we're not so much involved in it, but economic development, Hobart has their own economic development, Port Hope has their own economic development. County has, I believe, Red Hills has that big stuff too. So it's wish bag, as you said. I don't know what the right answer is, but I do appreciate you saying that you don't think I think you think it's a county initiative. And I do think that they do want to get commitment from everyone to do that. Go ahead.
If I recall correctly from the meeting, they would be concerned that if the whole conversations went on, this was the concern and why it got sent to the municipalities. So they spend their money, they get all these answers, and then if the townships aren't willing to say, okay, that makes sense, we will work, and I'm going to use bridges and culverts as the example. If the study says, let's everybody work together on that item, but then Alnwick Haldeman says, no way, we don't want to work together. They don't want to get a report that we're not willing to cooperate with at the end. And so they're asking for upfront, are you ready or are you willing to have your, to do something at the end if it's a recommendation? But I sat there at the table yesterday for budget, and it's the third year in a row, but this is an ongoing thing. How does a small municipality staff adequately? That's a huge pressure point for us. And the bridges and culverts, I believe, is also a huge pressure point for us. So those are two items I would personally love to see some investigation of, to see if there are opportunities on on either of those for shared services to relieve some of the pressure on us.
And I'll fill you in a little bit more on bridges and culverts. Historically, in fact, as early as last year, and there was one a couple of years ago in Brighton Township, the Brighton, where they replaced a bridge. That bridge was originally owned by the county. It was on a lower tier municipal road. There was also one, exactly the same thing in Trent Hills, where there's on a municipal road, there was a bridge that was used to be owned by the county, and they downloaded that road, but they didn't download the bridge. So the county made the decision 3 or 4 years ago that because it was their bridge initially, they would bring it up to the new standards, replace the bridge basically. And then it was going to be the municipality's responsibility from then on. Which, worked not too bad, but now we've got some other councilors on there that say, no, we shouldn't be doing that because we don't use that bridge and look after it yourself. So, but that has never been established, but that's some of the things that people look, and our township does have one bridge in that category. Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
So reading this, your worship, through you, it says a resolution should be requested from each member municipality to express their interest. So if all 7 are interested, they split that bill, but it does say what you were talking about, Councillor O'Neill, is when you receive the final report, it would not obligate any municipality to proceed with the implementation. So hopefully it comes to council whether or not we want to spend if you're talking about $50,000, I would agree with Councillor Ainsworth that maybe we decide we don't want to be part of it I don't know, that's up to council to. So will they be coming? Do you think the county's coming to us like in 2025 is this something more to do in 2026? It looks like it's quite large if it's $250,000.
My understanding of it was that they thought there was a possibility that nothing would happen in 2025, but they could get it set up for 2026, that they would pick 2 things that they'd like to look at and share that expense or share the load together. Was my understanding.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor O'Neill.
Again, I don't think we're sharing the cost of the study if that's what's being asked. I think it would be at the end. And we're saying here, member municipality impacts, depending on the extent of the review, there could be significant impact to member municipal operations and governance. So it's more the end piece is where it would, but we have to agree, we're willing to participate in that discussion. That is all at this stage we're being asked.
I would suggest that we should defer this till, they don't want the answer for March the 3rd. We have 2 more council meetings between now and then. We should defer and get clarification on what actual money they're asking for. And then we can make a decision from there. And we'll ask staff to confirm that. Unless staff have a comment that they can, that you all already know the answer. So that's what my recommendation would be. So if somebody wants to make a motion for that, then we can consider it.
I could make that motion, Mayor Lobo. That we defer until we have a little bit more information and maybe specifics that we would be looking at here. I mean, obviously, we would be talking roads, culverts, bridges. Would that be all we would be looking at for here?
I don't know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It could be snowplow or whatever. It's pretty wide. And I do understand that they did have a meeting with the CAOs were there a couple of weeks ago. But Dave was, tied up that Monday in the budgets. So he probably doesn't have as much information as some of the other CEOs. So and I'm wondering, has staff thought about this as well? I mean, sent it to, council, and I think they were looking for staffs and, thoughts on it as well. So we might want to modify that a little bit to get that as well as some staff, input.
Yeah, staff input as well would be sufficient, I think. Thank you.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yes.
Can I get a seconder for that? Seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any further discussion?
Just for clarity, Mr. Mayor, if I can just confirm that, the motion that I've picked up and written down is that staff provide a report at the February 28th, 2025 meeting with more information on Northumberland County's request for participation in a municipal restructuring study.
That would be,
Just so I'm clear. Okay.
that would do it.
Further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. And did we already finish with this one?
Yeah, so just receiving with everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so this one here we done.
Yeah.
Okay, so was anybody wanting to do anything with 16.2 or 16.3? We're receiving for information. If you don't want to do nothing, then we'll just move on. Okay. Bylaws? None. Announcements, notice of motions? None. Confirming bylaw 17-2025. Confirming bylaw, regular council meeting. It is recommended the council of the corporation of the township of Elm Culver enact as follows. That bylaw number 17-2025 being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on the 11th day of February 2025 and to authorize its execution in the first, second, and third reading and final pass this 11th day of February 2025. Mover and second. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, second by Councilor Booth. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Yes.
I just asked one question,
Yes.
before we adjourn. Would it be possible to get like a to-do list? Because we're in our second year going into our third year, there's multiple things that we've talked about that should be getting done. And they kind of just get lost in the shuffle. Would it be possible to have a to-do list of things that we've passed to get done or send back to staff to have more information on? Is that possible?
I don't know.
I don't know how long that would take to get done. Or maybe you already have a to-do list somewhere on your boards in the office. If you do, can that be shared?
First of all, there's lots of times we do discuss stuff, but there's no motion made. But if there is a motion made and it's a second and approved, then we should continue on and getting that job done. And I guess I can't comment on the Missouri, a list of that type stuff. Emily or Dave?
There's never ending list. That type of stuff.
That's the one.
That's what we're looking for. And I guess you can only set priorities as best you can. But do you publish that list or is it available? Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I just asked because I have my own little to-do list at home on my little eraser board. And some of the things on it's not getting done, so I just kind of thought we must have one for the municipality also. That probably you would keep track of and something that happened the first year of our term, we probably forgot about it as far as council go.
Yeah. And a list like that is ideal. However, those lists have to be updated every little once in a while because if something was a priority today, can get way down at the bottom and that's just the way it is. But I don't know, what do you think, Dave? Do you have a comment on it or not?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. I know we're busy, not a priority, but
Yeah.
if it's possible that we could get something, in the next little while or.
I know I know one thing that I hear from staff quite frequently that. They get taken away on what they consider off the path that we're established for different things. And it takes up an awful lot of time to do that. And, you know, we get frustrated if something doesn't get done when we think it should be, but they're chasing the tail of somebody else. Probably the right way to put that, right? Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess, through you, Mayor, I could provide comment to council. So in the fall of 2024, this council approved a strat plan. And staff's mandate is to follow that strat plan, and we absolutely intend to follow the strat plan. Based on what was approved just yesterday, finally, with respect to the budget, staff have a meeting next Wednesday to go over the decisions of council to ensure that all department heads are aligned with what has been approved with council and also what hasn't been, so that we can then realign with the strat plan and know what it is we're going to achieve for 2025. Those are the guiding documents that we will be following. Respectfully, I understand that all council members have individual lists that they would like to see accomplished. But we do have to follow the guiding documents that have been provided in the decisions that have made by all of council. So we can certainly try where we can, but right now what we need to do is digest the decisions of yesterday and then meet with all the staff and then understand where it is that we're moving forward from there.
Thank you, David. And not only yesterday's, you get the same thing for our meeting today. Everything that goes at council meetings, we got to take it back to staff and sign it. Go ahead, sir.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to add on to CAO Dawson's point there as well, with the strat plan, we do have it built in that we have a mid-year reporting back to council. So that would be a list of sort of a project status update and how it all correlates to the strat plan. So that's one that is already kind of in the works and pending for June, July this year.
That strat plan, if you look at it, I should say if you look at it, when you look at it, there's an awful lot of stuff there to do. An awful lot of stuff. And I think I see that because it's pretty general. So, and there are specific things as well, but generally, you know, to do the good things that we all strive to do. It's part of that as well. You got to be way off track. Yes.
Just one more comment, just to try to help give you something. If you have a list of things that you wanted to see accomplished, then I would encourage you to bring those items to council so that they can be decided upon. And if all the council decides that staff will spend time doing that, what we will do is we will advise council a rough timeline of when we think we might be able to get to it. Based on the timelines and workload that our current staff has.
Okay, thanks. That makes a lot of sense. Anything else? I'll read the final resolution. The regular council meeting held on February 11th, 2025, be adjourned at 12:01 p.m. Moving to second. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. Motion's carried. Thank you, everyone.